Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite the Chairman of the Singapore Bullion Market Association, Mr. K.L. Yap, to deliver the welcome address. Mr. Yap has been serving as the Chairman of SBMA since November 2021, working in close collaboration with the SBMA Management Committee and its dedicated Secretary. Chairman Yap, please.
Ms. Cindy Khoo, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and a warm welcome to the 8th edition APPMC organized by the Singapore Bullion Market Association, managed by Eventel Global Advisory, supported by Enterprise Singapore and the Singapore Tourism Board. We are delighted to have you join us today from across the globe to discuss the latest trends, opportunities, and challenges in the precious metal industry. It's an honor to be part of this distinguished gathering where experts and stakeholders from various sectors come together to share knowledge, explore partnership, and shape the future of the precious metal industry. Since its inception in 2017, APPMC has grown exponentially, and we are excited to meet once again in 2025 to exchange ideas and explore new opportunities. The main purpose of this conference has always been to provide a platform for stakeholders from the wholesale and retail jewelry sectors, the mining industries, refineries, bullion banks and trading firms, policymakers and exchanges to meet, discuss and debate ideas and learn opportunity across the Asia-Pacific region. This year's theme, Forward SBMA 2030, Connecting Asia to the World, could not be more fitting as we navigate in an increasingly interconnected global landscape. At the heart of SBMA vision for the future lies a commitment to deepening collaboration and unifying the Asia-Pacific bullion market. As we advance with this vision, SBMA CEO, Mr. Albert Chen, will offer valuable insights into this year's themes and its significance. He will also explain what Forward SBMA 2030 represents and how it will steer Singapore's evolution into a pivotal hub that connects Asia to the world, shaping the future of the precious metal industry on the global scale. To facilitate this discussion, we are honored to have distinguished speakers and expert panelists who will provide insightful updates on key markets, including ASEAN, the wider Asia-Pacific encompassing Japan, Korea, and Australia, the Middle East, India, and China. We will also delve into the burgeoning emergence of PGM in the Asia-Pacific region, exploring strategies to cultivate a more dynamic trading market in Singapore that aligns to the diverse needs of stakeholders. Additionally, we are excited to hold a new session this evening, the Singapore's Link Roundtable discussion. These roundtables are designed to foster in-depth conversation on key topics shaping the precious metal industry. Each session will have one or two speakers from an anchored organization, providing a focused platform for all our participants to exchange ideas and discuss emerging trends. Finally, no comprehensive discussion on the future of the precious metal market would be completed without addressing the global dynamics affecting prices. The last panel section will examine the outlook of precious metal prices in light of developments around the world. This year, we have over 600 attendees from 32 different countries all around the world. This is a significant increase compared in 2017, when we have over 330 attendees from 23 countries and 165 companies attended the very first APPMC. A total of 302 companies are represented today, and we are honored together with such a distinguished group to learn from each other and explore synergetic opportunities to extend our business strategies. In addition, we are proud to partner with the World Platinum Investment Council as our live streaming partner, who will be streaming APPMC 2025 live to our counterpart in China for those who are unable to join us today in person. This year, we are also excited to hold the Green Gala Dinner, which will reflect the conference's commitments towards sustainability and environmental responsibility. The theme of the gala represents our shared commitments towards fostering a greener future for the precious metal industry. SBMA was established in December 1993 by 16 corporate members from the precious metal industry. As of June 2025, SBMA membership has grown to 79 members, a testament to the increasing trust and involvement across the industry. SBMA remains unwavering in its commitment to supporting regional developments and facilitating essential knowledge-sharing initiatives that encompasses our member to drive the continual growth of the precious metal sector. Before closing, I would like to express my gratitude to Enterprise Singapore, the Singapore Tourism Board, and all our sponsors for their support to APPMC and SBMA, without whom this conference would not have been possible. I would also like to thank the organizing team who have worked hard in putting this conference together. They are the Eventel Global Advisory Team led by CEO and Director Mr. G. Srivastava, and the SBMA team led by our CEO, Mr. Albert Chin. Thank you all for your support. I wish you all a very fruitful week of conferencing and networking. Thank you.
We are truly honored to have Ms. Cindy Khoo, Managing Director of Enterprise Singapore, with us here today. Enterprise Singapore is the government agency championing enterprise development, working with committed companies to build capabilities, innovate, and internationalize. They also support the growth of Singapore as a hub for global trading and startups, and build trust in Singapore's products and services through quality and standards. Ms. Khoo is concurrently the chairman of SITS Capital, the investment arm of Enterprise Singapore and Infrastructure Asia, as well as the deputy chairman of Singapore Cooperation Enterprise. She also serves on the boards of SG Innovate and the Competition and Consumer Commission of Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Cindy Khoo with a round of applause, please.
Good morning. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here. It's a great pleasure that I welcome you to the 8th edition of the Asia Pacific Precious Metals Conference, APPMC. As Asia's largest precious metals conference, APPMC has continued to draw very strong participation. As what Chairman KL said earlier, we have more than 600 participants from more than 30 countries here in Singapore. So for those of you who have traveled around the world to come here, welcome to Singapore. I hope you enjoy your stay. It's a little bit rainy this morning, but at least it's not so hot. I also like to thank SBMA, the Singapore Bullion Market Association, for organizing the event and bringing everyone together. As what Chairman said, indeed, this is a good opportunity for players to come together, share ideas, strive to improve our business strategy, and grow the sector. So in the time that I have today, I just want to share some views that we have on the opportunities that we see emerging in the global precious metals landscape, particularly in Asia, and also how Singapore, in particular, is relevant as a hub for this precious metals trading ecosystem. So to start, first, I would like to share how we have witnessed an eastward shift in the precious metal sectors in 3 areas. First, the investment demand for gold has surged across Asia, with central banks in the region accounting for more than 60% of the gold reserves purchased. This trend reflects gold's enduring appeal as a safe haven asset during times of global uncertainty. Second, we also see an increasing industrial use case for precious metals. For example, demand for industrial silver has risen by 3.5% in 2024, last year, a record high for the 4th consecutive year, driven by China and India's expanding electronics and renewable energy sectors. Third, in jewelry, Asia continues to lead this segment, accounting for 2/3 of the global demand for finished gold jewelry in 2023. Largely driven by India, platinum jewelry demand has also grown by 8% in 2024. Coming to Singapore is a good idea, and this is why. With a diverse mix of over 50 precious metals players in Singapore, you can see Singapore as a bridge between East and West, connecting Asia to industry players from other continents. Traders and bullion banks based in Singapore have told us that they value our close proximity to regional markets, leveraging our established trading ecosystem to access source markets such as Thailand, Indonesia, and Australia, as well as a growing demand in the region. Through SBMA, Singapore has also continued to grow our relationship in the region. For example, we have an MOU signing later today with the Japan Bullion Market Association, further strengthening our regional connectivity, facilitating knowledge exchange and market access between these two key precious metal hubs in Asia. Singapore's strengths also lie in our robust air connectivity and logistical infrastructure. We also have an extensive network of free trade agreements. Recognizing these advantages, established precious metals jewelry firms like Lotus Linga and AGO1 Commodities, they've set up their operations in Singapore just this year in 2025. In fact, AGO1 Commodities plans to launch its first jewelry production in Singapore later this year. Metalor Technologies, Singapore's refinery, and the presence of vault operators and secure logistic providers are also important nodes of our precious metals ecosystem. These parties continue to grow their offerings in Singapore to accommodate the rising demand for precious metals in the region. For instance, Metalor expanded its product range in 2024 by introducing silver bars production. Silver Bullion's facility, the Reserve, which was completed last year, can hold up to an impressive 500 tons of gold and 10,000 tons of silver, making it one of the world's highest capacity precious metal vaults. Looking ahead, Enterprise Singapore would like to partner companies like yourselves to grow new capabilities, including in artificial intelligence AI. In AI, over the next 5 years, Singapore will invest over 1 billion Singapore dollars in the AI sector. We have a ready pool of AI practitioners, startups, and R&D teams to accelerate AI adoption across the precious metals value chain. Take, for example, we recently have BHP, which is, as you know, a world-renowned mining resources company. It launched its first AI hub in Singapore. Through this initiative, BHP will work with Singapore companies to implement AI technologies to improve safety and unlock productivity gains across its global operations. This shows us what good adoption of AI predictive models can do, ranging from market trend analysis to risk management, which will help us all make better and more informed decisions and optimize our operations. Within the precious metal space, we are also seeing an increasing use of AI-driven technology, such as 3D printing, to develop more intricate and complex designs. Precious metals jewelry companies can work with our National Additive Manufacturing Industry Cluster, what we call NAMIC, N-A-M-I-C, which is at the forefront of developing advanced additive manufacturing technologies for specific Singapore companies specializing in this to build such capabilities from Singapore. So feel free to work with them to partner and to develop new technologies that will support your design and production. Finally, on talent, enabling the continued growth of the precious metal sector will require the right talent. The SBMA, in collaboration with the World Gold Council, has been developing talent in the precious metal space through the SBMA Academy. I'm heartened to learn that the SBMA Academy saw a 50% increase in participation this year, with 46 new professionals trained, demonstrating the growing interest in this sector. One example is Emmanuel Lam. I think Emmanuel is here. Hi, Emmanuel. Has benefited from the SBMA Academy in 2023 and has since taken on the position of Manager for Metal Sales Asia at ICBC Standards Bank. Welcome. Our institutes of higher learning, IHLs, are also committed to developing training talent in the commodities trading sector generally, but particularly in the precious metals. For example, the Nanyang Technological University's International Trading Program includes curriculum on precious metals trading to support this growing industry. The program's growing appeal is reflected by its remarkable increase in graduate numbers, which has doubled from 37 in 2019 to 81 in 2024, so just over 5 years. In conclusion, as we look to the future, Singapore stands ready to connect you to the right partners and support your growth ambitions and secure new opportunities as you expand your business in Asia. So today we are here at this conference, and I encourage you to take full advantage of the networking opportunities here, particularly the new Singapore Sling Roundtable, which Chairman also talked about earlier, where you can converse with market experts on key trends in the industry. There's something very special about pairing our national cocktail, the Singapore Sling, with meaningful industry discussions, which reflect the unique business landscapes and opportunities or experiences that Singapore has to offer. I do hope as you leave the conference by the end of these few days, you will remember the Singapore Sling and the Singapore ideas that you take away. So thank you very much, and I wish you a very enjoyable conference ahead. Thank you.
It's our pleasure to invite Mr. David Tait, CEO, World Gold Council, to deliver his special address. David Tait was appointed Global CEO of the World Gold Council in November 2018. During his 36 years in the financial services industry, David has worked for a variety of highly regarded firms, most recently as the global head of fixed income macro products at Credit Suisse. He is currently an independent member of the Bank of England's FICC Market Standards Board and chairs the Precious Metals Working Group. Please join me to welcome Mr. David Tait, please.
Good morning, and thank you to Albert KL, SBMA, for the invitation to speak today. It's a pleasure, once again, to be with you at the 2025 APPMC, a conference which has become one of the leading forums for dialogue and connectivity with the precious metals community. It is also great to be back in Singapore, a pivotal crossroads for gold, where growing demand from key markets in the region intersects with fresh ideas and fresh solutions. Fresh ideas may not be the first thing that comes to mind when talking about gold. It is, after all, an asset that has been around since the dawn of time. Nevertheless, the World Gold Council has been squarely focused on bringing fresh ideas to the conversation, whether exploring alternative channels to reach new audiences or by finding fresh solutions to address long-standing challenges for our industry. One such challenge we face is traceability. Ensuring that the entire gold supply chain is secure from mine to end buyer is a critical step needed to combat illicit flows, lock out unscrupulous actors, and ultimately make sure that gold has a place in the markets of the future. The World Gold Council, working alongside the LBMA, has taken on this challenge through the Gold Bar Integrity, or GBI, initiative. GBI aims to put all legitimate gold onto an immutable blockchain-based database where buyers will be able to clearly see that the investment bar, coin, and when technology allows jewelry they purchase was sourced responsibly, refined reputably, and has only passed through the hands of legitimate actors. We're working with a company called Exedris to develop the database and have, alongside the LBMA, already made considerable progress. Indeed, the LBMA has made exceptional progress in this regard, bringing the vast majority of their GDL refiners onto the system in very short order. In addition, all WGC member companies are in the process of adopting the database, and together, with declaring their refining partners, we'll be uploading all newly mined production going forward, allowing for transparent miner-refiner handshakes, which will enhance investor confidence in the immutability of the gold supply chain. This is an ambitious but necessary goal because, as regulatory regimes tighten and investors become, rightly, more discerning, we must move our industry towards total trust and transparency in order to compete for capital against other asset classes. I am confident that the day will soon come when it will be unthinkable to buy gold without first checking its origin and integrity in the GBI database. With the GBI database as a solid and critical foundation stone, we have been forging ahead with what I term our 3 digital strands. First, wholesale digital gold, an initiative born from a 4-year engagement between the Financial Market Standards Board and all the bullion banks, which has as its ambition the task of making gold markets more transparent, trusted, and accessible, principally through digitalization. In this context, and demonstrating noteworthy progress, we hope to achieve the pledging and transmission of digital gold as collateral between the major bullion banks by year-end, a hugely significant moment for the gold industry. The second strand is the introduction of a standard digital gold unit, or SGU, that we envisage will digitally standardize all shapes, sizes, and purities of gold globally, hence providing such a level of investor transparency and simplicity that the many capital barriers to entry that currently exist in the gold market will fall away, attracting many new institutional participants with their vast capital flows. And thirdly, in close partnership again with the LBMA, we are working tirelessly to make the case to the EU authorities for gold to be defined as a high-quality liquid asset, or HQLA, a definition which has been long overdue. However, when it comes to strengthening responsible supply chains and enhancing transparency, there is one aspect of our industry that can't be ignored any longer: artisanal and small-scale gold mining, ASGM, and the flow of illicit gold that comes from it. Our work is also focused on the plethora of issues within the artisanal and small-scale mining space, which directly involves upwards of 25 million people around the world who work the hard ground, often just in order to feed their families. ASGM is not a new challenge, will always be with us, and no one, least of all the WGC, is proposing criminalizing or trying to eradicate the practice. But its scale and value have been transformed over the last 25 years, from 4% of total gold production at the turn of the century to 20% now, against the backdrop of a gold price from $250 to almost $3,500 an ounce. With an illicit gold economy estimated to be worth in excess of $60 billion a year, there are mounting environmental, social, and governance hazards, including the impact on water, land, air, and public health from mercury pollution, child labor, human trafficking, gender-based violence, and the governance challenges associated with widespread illegality, including money laundering, people trafficking, smuggling, and corruption. In many places, governments are seeing their national patrimony disappear into the pockets of organized crime, money launderers, terrorists, and mercenaries. As you may know, there are many excellent initiatives designed to address particular issues and formalize the ASGM sector, such as those from the World Bank and the UN's Planet Gold Anti-Mercury Program. The LBMA has also been developing programs in Ghana, Peru, and the Philippines to equip small-scale mines such that they can supply material to their good delivery list refineries. Several NGOs, like ARM, the Artisanal Gold Council, and PACT, have developed programs that help small-scale miners access legitimate markets. However, many of these programs are bilateral, don't connect with each other, or lack the scale or sufficient longevity to be transformational. To be frank, the World Gold Council are relative newcomers in this field and do not want to appear to lecture those who have spent years laboring in this arena. But good though many of these programs are, they are clearly insufficient in relation to the scale of the problem. In this context, the World Gold Council, together with the World Bank and Intergovernmental Forum on Mining, came together earlier this year to form a global coalition for action to devise realistic, pragmatic, and deployable solutions. We recognized that while there were many institutions dedicated to addressing ASGM, there was a distinct lack of cohesion and cooperation between them. The coalition aims, for once and for all, to unite key players, combine our firepower, and concentrate our resources on solutions that can bring real, tangible change. And so, in this context, the WGC are pursuing 4 main strands of work. First, we are working with an initial group of 7 central banks namely the Philippines, Mongolia, Tanzania, Zambia, Brazil, Colombia, and Ecuador, all of whom now purchase gold directly from formalized small-scale miners, gold that is either retained by the institution or sold into the open market to bolster currency reserves. The central banks, under the chairmanship of the governor of the Central Bank of Ecuador, have developed a best practice framework called the London Principles. The framework shows how central banks can work with a variety of government agencies to achieve conformance with the OECD's guidance on the responsible sourcing of minerals from conflict-affected and high-risk countries, and how to promote formalization and combat pure safety standards, child labor, and the use of mercury. Central bank gold purchases can help transfer gold from the illicit to legal channels and offer miners routes away from exploitation and intimidation by organized crime. The second work strand involves promoting cooperative models between large-scale mines and ASGM. It should be obvious to all that industrial mines, the establishment of which involves huge upfront investment, have to be able to operate without incursions from illegal miners. Mine invasions clearly make it difficult to pursue new investment with confidence, harming all of us in the supply chain, including the national governments. But, as we are showing through our partnership with the World Bank, the Ivorian government, and 3 major mining companies based in Côte d'Ivoire, there are models that can support consensus-based approaches to professionalization and formalization. These models can offer significant benefits to government revenues, the rule of law, and the prevention of criminal infiltration. Our third, and I believe the most important area of our work, relates to improving the processing infrastructure for the ore produced by small-scale miners. Too many miners use mercury amalgamation to extract their gold, as it is cheap, familiar, and a quick processing method. But, as I'm sure you're aware, mercury exacts a heavy toll both on people and the environment, and is used, despite a gold recovery rate being typically only about 35 to 40%. But there is an alternative approach, namely the formal processing of gold using cyanidation, which can raise ore yields to in excess of 90%. Were small-scale miners given access to formal, widely distributed, mercury-free processing plants on a globally unprecedented scale, it would increase the gold recovery rate hugely, provide pinch points through which governments could improve the regulation of the sector, reduce damaging environmental impacts, and provide extra resources to finance the cost of formalization. Such plants would provide support to miners in areas such as geology, safety, better labor practices, and improved environmental stewardship. Most importantly, it could help disintermediate the criminal gangs who often operate in the void between the miner and any form of processing facility. In this context, we have recently published a report that looks at the gap between this semi-theoretical model and what is happening actually on the ground. In a review of the use of processing plants in 6 countries, the report by independent consultants Levin Sources shows some examples of existing functional best practice in both Peru and Tanzania. Sadly, however, in most cases, plants simply reflect the absence of basic standards and a lack of responsible sourcing evidence. However, looked at another way, the report provides a roadmap for how processing plants, especially when supported by new traceability technologies, can help to transform the operation of local markets if the governments provide the right framework. A global network of individually profitable plants would be transformational if the plants can win the confidence of both governments and especially, of course, the miners themselves. So, the time has come to think big, be bold and adopt ambitious solutions that, when implemented, will change the lives of many millions. In support of this ambition, we commissioned Dominic Raab, the former Deputy UK Prime Minister and Foreign Secretary, to produce an assessment of what is needed in order that the international system confronts the growing threats arising from the penetration of gold production and gold markets by organised crime. The report shows clearly how the international system is not yet geared up to combat the growing scale and sophistication of these criminal gangs. This shortcoming is exposing millions of miners to intimidation and exploitation and threatens the stability and security of many producer countries. This more than tarnishes our industry. The Raab report sets out a blueprint for cooperation and details 24 recommendations that should, and we hope will be, implemented by the OECD, the Financial Action Task Force, the World Customs Organization, the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, Interpol, G7 and G20. But critically, we also need to ensure the voices of responsible artisanal and small-scale miners form part of any reform process and that they are heard loud and clear, ensuring the approaches offered by the international community are practical and also provide realistic incentives for them to reform. We have a unique opportunity to capitalize on the current G7 and G20 focus on the flow of illicit gold, an opportunity that we as an industry would be very foolish to ignore. If we succeed in working together to find new, realistic, and actionable solutions that, most importantly, don't just remain as well-meaning words preserved for posterity within the minutes of a meeting or the write-up of yet another conference, then we'll have made important progress that will benefit the millions of miners and their families, their local governments, the environment, and most importantly, the many children and young people who are falling victim to cruel exploitation and abuse. This is something we, as an industry, should be fighting for, and once achieved, can be rightly proud of. Thank you, Albert, for the opportunity to speak today.
We welcome Ms. Ruth Crowell, CEO of the London Bullion Market Association, to deliver her special address. Ruth was appointed Chief Executive of the LBMA in January 2014. She is responsible for the success and strategic development of the LBMA, in partnership with the chairman and the board. She is also responsible for maintaining accountability to and the quality of the association's membership and good delivery refiners, as well as representing the interests of the association in relation to regulators, investors, media, and international precious metals markets. Over to Ms. Ruth Crowell, please.
Thank you so much to Margaret, to Albert, to KL, to all of you for being here today and the opportunity to talk to you. I actually wanted to stop for a minute and say thank you as well to David Tait for raising the important issue of artisanal gold mining. I think for those of you who know me as chief executive, you might not know that I actually stumbled my way into the gold market, having finished my master's dissertation on modern slavery. I gave a briefing to the management committee at the time, talking about these issues, and I remember a board member who remained nameless who said, "Ruth, please, it's Christmas, don't ruin my day." I can't tell you so many years on to be talking about these important issues on a forum like this in Singapore speaks to the quality of the folks gathered here today, the integrity of the industry, and also the challenge ahead of us. So I very much appreciate raising the awareness, and it is something that matters to all of us. We talk about ESG. Surely when it comes to social, it's those 25 million vulnerable people who depend on artisanal gold for their livelihood. You know, I think sometimes artisanal gold is not the right word because it sounds like artisanal cheese. It's almost as if, you know, like people have taken this choice to do gold mining because it's a little bit bougie. This is really people who are trying to find a way to survive. And it's inherent on all of us to do what we can to eradicate the illicit and support the vulnerable. So thank you, David. I'm going to talk a little bit today about transparency, why it's so important, and how it aids all of these efforts, as well as how we can support growth. I'm always very happy to be back in Singapore. It's energizing to be here. There is so much innovation happening and partnership. I'm very grateful to Albert, to Margaret, to IE Singapore, to KL, in terms of how much you have been doing over the past 8 years. It really is incredible. From an LBMA side of things, we really want to do our job and ensure that underlying this innovation, you have LBMA good delivery, and that is a standard that you can trust. And that trust comes out of transparency. So I'm going to talk about 3 things. 1, our strategic plan and how it aims to deliver integrity. The GBI ecosystem, which David also mentioned, because we have some great headlines there. And then really the latest when it comes to responsible sourcing. So in terms of strategic plan, we have 4 main pillars. The first 3 you're going to be the most familiar with: what we're doing on sustainability, responsible sourcing. Singapore is a physical market. Gold bar integrity is all about the physical, so we're going to talk about that. And partnerships, I think we are all working in partnership, and it's something I'm so happy to see after 10 years in the industry, is understanding that we are all connected, even in this fractured world. I want to talk a little bit about the financial market enhancements and what transparency can bring. I think we're all familiar with what happened in the first quarter of this year. We saw disruption between London and New York, given how fractured the geopolitical landscape is, and I think we're all watching with heavy hearts with what's happening in the Middle East at the moment. I think we can all expect rocky roads ahead. We have to communicate. We have to work together. We have to ensure that things are fungible. In Q1, we saw lease rates skyrocketing. And this is something that really affected the real economy. If you were making gold, selling gold, this suddenly went up, and there were lots of theories as to why, and not a lot of information out there. What really aided to this was transparent data coming out. LBMA has been publishing vault holdings for gold and silver in London since 2017. I'm often reminded by my PR guy that this is really boring information. This has been certainly a web page that has attracted a huge amount of focus because one of the theories is London was running out of gold. And what we were trying to explain is that gold was still there. We were a little short on men with vans to move it out of the Bank of England, and our official sector does need to improve its efficiency, but certainly stocks were there. So when data came out on the Friday, it showed very clearly there's high stocks at the banks, slightly lower at the commercial, and everyone has watched that data set. It meant that market participants, potential market participants, were reassured. Because we always get questions as to, there's so much mystery to gold. We want to dispel some of the mystery. And we want to make sure that the investors out there who are asking, many of which for the first time, should I get involved? This data gives them comfort, and we want to attract and grow the industry. So data is important, transparency is important, and explaining that data is also important. There's a great webinar that Jeremy East and David Gornall participated in. If you haven't had a look at that, I'd encourage you to do so, and it gives a clear explanation. So there's much more to come on financial markets, but I do want to talk about GBI because it is so relevant, because it's part of where the conversation started. So gold bar integrity ecosystem, yes, it's a technology platform, and I'm happy to say it launched on time, on budget, with 89% of refiners taking part. Now, the other 11% get a little bit of a pass from us because our silver-only refiners didn't recognize that they would also have to take part in this. I could understand with the name Gold Bar Integrity, silver refiners might have had some confusion. So they're going to need a little more time, but it's been a fantastic pickup by the industry, and I'm very grateful for the leadership that has been demonstrated through that. But now the future is what's exciting. But for those of you who are perhaps not as close to this initiative as the World Gold Council and ourselves and the refiners doing the work, let me tell you what this is all about. And in particular, give you 2 use cases that make it relevant. So at the moment, LBMA receives data on country of origin on a yearly basis. So if a refiner starts to source in a new jurisdiction, it can be up to 12 months before we hear that that has happened. Now, given the geopolitical state of the world, that is far too long. We need to have a dialogue with refiners and to hear when they are sourcing well before a year later. It's too late for all of you who are relying on London Good Delivery if there's any question about that material. So we want to have a monthly reporting by refiners, ongoing dialogue about where there are challenges, and we want to see that in sort of real time. The other aspect is custodians. So when sanctions came out, LBMA started collecting data on a bar-by-bar basis of all stocks in the London market that are pre-war. These are outside of the sanctions regime, but the bars do have Russian characters or Cyrillic on them. So when metal is in motion, there are questions rightfully being asked at a customs level. And the LBMA is gone to say, was this out of the country at the time? With that database, we can confidently give them the positive response. But that process is still quite manual, it's time-consuming, and it's expensive because of the time it takes. We want to automate that, we want to make that faster, and we want to ensure that as the industry, metal can move as smoothly as possible around the world. So it enhances the role that we do, it reduces risk within the system, and again, it gives confidence to the regulators out there who have questions about the gold market. So the benefits, as I say, are for the industry itself. And we had a really excellent Asian working group meeting yesterday talking about GBI. Because for those of you who have been watching the story for a long time, you'll know that this all started because of fraud in kilobars found in various parts of Asia. Kilobars are still not London Good Delivery. There are still challenges and additional requirements that have to happen because of the higher risk of these bars. So this technology looks to enhance them, reduce the existing risk in the ecosystem, save us time, save us money, and then most importantly, attract investors who are asking themselves the question at these higher gold prices, should I get involved? They can look at the data, they can interrogate it, and they can feel confident. And that's what we want to achieve. So in terms of what's next, I'm particularly excited, I'm excited about how we unlock the future now. It's all about how we make this fully traceable from mine to consumer. We also look at how we incorporate security features, and we ultimately bring more traceability and transparency to the wider industry. If you haven't met the team here in Asia, or if you haven't got the memo that actually Jeremy East has left Standard Chartered, I understand it's been 6 years now. He's been working with the LBMA and many others. He's leading the team here in Asia. Also, Bonnie Lee has been helping on our communications for many years. We have a new face, at least to LBMA, but not to the industry, Doris Bao. And I wanted to give a particular shout out to Doris. She is one of the main reasons that we are at 89% on refiners on the GBI ecosystem, helping us get the Chinese refiners across the line. So thank you so much, Doris. And beyond implementation, we have had our first Asian working group meeting, which primary agenda item at the moment was agreed yesterday, will be kilobars, GBI, how do we really make this work and deliver on the promise? But it's also an opportunity for talking about regional challenges, regional opportunities, and given that fractured nature of the world, make sure that we are regularizing communication and working in partnership on those rocky roads ahead. We've also done a lot more training. Sunil Kashyap has been leading this in India. We have more coming in China. This is about what is the LBMA all about, responsible sourcing, and how do we spread the good word about how we all share the common reputation of the industry, and we want to make sure that reputation is strong. The headlines in terms of responsible sourcing is that we are fast-tracking transparency. So we heard from stakeholders that they want to know more actually about this country of origin information. Where refiners are taking their gold, particularly which mines they're taking their gold from. is something that, at least within the industry, most people know. You know, it's not actually commercially sensitive. There's a practical aspect of refiners need to update contracts. But actually most of the industry knows, and if the critics of us are curious, why don't we just publish that? So I'm very grateful to the leadership from the refiners in helping us bring forward by 2 years the publication of that data. We announced this in May, and this is something for the critics out there to say that we believe in these issues. We want to demonstrate transparently. So from 2026, refiners will be publishing the mines, the country, and the mining companies for all World Gold Council mines. Why World Gold Council? Partly because of the partnership, partly because they've already made that commitment to be transparent, so refiners have time to get those contracts updated. We also will be requiring publication of refiner and exporter from high-risk jurisdictions, as well as transit countries for high-risk jurisdictions. And that means that we have a high-level, even playing field for refiners to do this transparent reporting. So again, a big thank you from the leadership. I can confidently say that when I briefed the management committee on modern slavery, there is no way that this would be considered. We have come a really long way as an industry, and I'm delighted that we are recognizing why transparency is going to add to the vibrancy and the sustainability of the market that we so treasure. I think with that, that leaves me to say I hope to see you in Kyoto. I also hope to see you at the Singapore Sling Roundtable. We'll be talking about all the issues I've just discussed, plus everybody's favorite topic of recycled gold. I look forward to engaging with you over the next few days and over the months to come. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you also for sharing the strategic plan for 2025 to 27 on sustainability, physical enhancement, financial market enhancements, and strategic partnerships as key pillars on technology, governance, business model, and data. Thank you very much. That concludes our inaugural session. Thank you for being a part of this special beginning. May I now invite all our 4 speakers to join us on stage for a group photo. Mr. K.L. Yap, Ms. Cindy Khoo, Mr. David Tait, and Ms. Ruth Crowell, please. Also on stage, may I also ask Mr. Albert Cheng, CEO SBMA, to join them on the group photo, please.